Have you ever stood in front of the mirror and thought, wait, when did that change? Maybe your face looked more tired than yesterday. Maybe your joints felt stiff before you even got out of bed. Or maybe somewhere deep down, you've just felt a little older than your age. If that sounds familiar, I want to talk directly to you today. Because aging doesn't always happen at the same pace for everyone. And just because you've crossed into your 60s or 70s doesn't mean you should feel like your body is slowing down at lightning speed. In fact, many seniors are aging faster than they should. And the good news is, there are ways to catch those early signs and actually slow things down, even reverse the damage in some cases. And no, it's not about looking younger or pretending to be 40 again. It's about feeling better, stronger, clearer, more in control of your health, your mind, and your daily energy. So let's dive in. One of the earliest, and often ignored, signs of accelerated aging is chronic fatigue. I'm not talking about feeling a little tired after a busy day. I mean that heaviness you carry from morning to night, where you wake up feeling like you never slept, or where simple things, like walking to the mailbox or standing at the stove, leave you wiped out. A lot of folks chalk this up to just getting older, but often it's a red flag. When your cells don't get the energy they need, whether it's from poor circulation, low oxygen, or a sluggish metabolism, it takes a toll on everything: your mood, your memory, your ability to move. One man I met, Harold, said he'd given up golfing because he just didn't have the spark anymore. But after we looked at his habits, we found that he wasn't drinking enough water and was skipping protein with breakfast. That may not sound major, but it was enough to throw off his energy day after day. Once he made a few tweaks, that spark started to come back. Slowly but surely. The body is always whispering. You just have to learn how to listen. Another sneaky sign you might be aging faster than expected? You're losing muscle without realizing it. You might be thinking, well, I'm not trying to become a bodybuilder. But muscle loss after 60 is a serious issue. And it's not just about strength. Your muscles support your balance, your bones, your metabolism, even your brain health. When they shrink, everything gets harder. Your joints ache more, your posture changes, you become more prone to falls. And here's the tricky part. Muscle doesn't disappear overnight. It's gradual. A little less strength climbing the stairs, a little more difficulty standing up from the couch, maybe even avoiding walks because your legs feel weak or shaky. But the good news? Muscle is one of the most reversible aspects of aging. Even in your 70s or 80s, you can rebuild it. I know a woman named Clarice, who at 73 couldn't lift a grocery bag without strain. She started doing chair exercises, just 10 minutes a day, nothing flashy, no gym. After 2 months, she said, I feel like I've got my legs back. And she meant it. It's about movement, resistance, and consistency. You don't need to train like an athlete, you just need to move your muscles on purpose. Another sign that aging may be speeding up faster than it should? You're forgetting more than usual, and it's starting to scare you. Now, before we go further, let me say this clearly. Occasional forgetfulness is normal. We all misplace keys, forget names, or lose our train of thought. But if you're finding it hard to follow conversations, getting lost in familiar places, or forgetting things you normally wouldn't, that could be a sign your brain is not getting the support it needs. Brain fog, short-term memory lapses, and slow recall are often linked to inflammation, poor sleep, and blood sugar imbalances. And yes, these issues become more common as we age, but that doesn't mean they're untreatable. The brain is a living organ, and like any other part of your body, it needs fuel and movement to thrive. That includes omega-3 fats, water, social interaction, and, you guessed it, exercise. Just walking 20 minutes a day can increase blood flow to your brain and improve cognitive function over time. And let's not underestimate the power of purpose. People who engage their minds, reading, talking, learning something new, tend to age more slowly, mentally and emotionally. That's because stimulation keeps the brain active, curious, and connected. So if your mind feels foggy or slow, don't panic. But do pay attention. It may be time to give your brain a little more of what it's asking for. The fourth early sign that you're aging faster than you should might surprise you. Your skin. Not the wrinkles, not the gray hair. Those are natural. I'm talking about your skin healing slower, becoming thinner, or bruising more easily than it used to. That's not just age. It's often a sign of poor circulation or nutritional gaps. Your skin is your largest organ, and when it changes rapidly, it can be a mirror for what's happening inside your body. Are you getting enough vitamin C? Enough collagen? Are you staying hydrated? Are you using SPF even on cloudy days? I had a neighbor, Nancy, who thought her skin issues were just part of the deal. But her doctor found she was low in zinc and vitamin D. Once she adjusted her supplements, her skin improved, and so did her energy. The little things matter, and your skin will often show the truth before anything else does. Now that we've uncovered some of these early signs, fatigue, muscle loss, memory lapses, and skin changes, let's explore how to gently but powerfully turn those signs around. Because no matter where you're starting from today, there's always a way to feel younger than your years. Naturally, steadily, and on your terms. Let's take a moment to pause right here. If you've recognized any of those signs we just talked about, if you've felt more tired lately, noticed your muscles aren't what they used to be, caught yourself forgetting little things, or seen changes in your skin, please know this. It's not too late to make a shift. Your body wants to heal. Your brain wants to stay sharp. And you absolutely can reverse many of the signs of early aging with small, steady steps. Let's begin with one of the most important, restorative sleep. Now, I know sleep becomes trickier as we get older. Maybe you wake up too early. Maybe you toss and turn. Maybe your legs twitch, or your mind won't stop racing the moment you lie down. And it's frustrating, because you know how good you feel after a truly restful night. Sleep is when your body does its deep repair work. It's when your brain clears waste, when your muscles recover, when your immune system strengthens. So when sleep suffers, everything else ages faster. One man I know, Don, swore he didn't need more than 5 hours a night. But he was cranky, stiff, forgetful, and couldn't figure out why. Turns out his body was exhausted, and that exhaustion was showing up as accelerated aging. He started going to bed just 30 minutes earlier each night, turned off screens after dinner, and added magnesium to his evening routine. Within a few weeks, he felt like a different man, calmer, more alert, even walking taller. So if your sleep isn't great, start small. Dim the lights earlier. Cut back on caffeine after 2 p.m. Try calming herbal teas. Most importantly, give your brain and body the signal that bedtime is sacred, not just another to-do item. A relaxed evening sets the tone for deeper rest. Another way to reverse the signs of early aging? Anti-inflammatory eating. Let me explain why this matters. A lot of what we call normal aging is actually inflammation. That swelling, that stiffness, that brain fog, that gut discomfort. It often comes from what we're putting in our bodies without realizing it. Highly processed foods, too much sugar, not enough nutrients. You don't need to go on a fancy diet. You don't have to give up every indulgence. But simply adding more color to your plate can make a huge difference. Think berries, leafy greens, roasted vegetables, omega-3 rich fish like salmon. Even just starting your day with a handful of walnuts or a piece of fruit can help reduce inflammation over time. I once met a woman named Joanne who started drinking a green smoothie every morning after turning 70. It had spinach, banana, and a splash of almond milk. Simple. But within a few months, she told me her joints weren't screaming at her anymore. That she could bend down in the garden again. That she didn't feel so Inflamed. What you eat is how you age. So try to think of food not as a list of rules, but as information for your cells. When you give them the right information, they respond with energy, clarity, and repair. And while we're talking about healing, let's not forget about movement. I know, I mentioned it earlier, but let's go deeper. You see, movement isn't just about burning calories or building strength. It's about turning on your body's repair systems. When you move, especially through gentle strength exercises or walking, you pump more oxygen and nutrients to your cells. You signal your brain that you're alive, awake, and engaged. You support your bones, your heart, your balance. And all of that slows the aging process. It doesn't have to be intense, it just has to be regular. One of the best habits you can develop is movement stacking. That means tying a little bit of movement to something you already do. While you brush your teeth, stand on one leg for 30 seconds, then switch. While your coffee brews, do 5 slow squats or calf raises at the counter. While watching TV, stretch your arms overhead during commercials. These tiny bursts add up, and they remind your body that it's meant to move. Even 10 minutes of purposeful movement a day can begin reversing signs of early aging. Don't underestimate it. And now, let's talk about something a little more emotional. Connection. It's easy to think of aging in physical terms: joints, memory, energy. But emotional disconnection can speed up aging just as fast. When we feel isolated, our stress hormones stay high, our immune systems weaken, our motivation drops. And the older we get, the more we risk slipping into quiet patterns of loneliness, even if we live with someone or talk to people here and there. Reversing emotional aging starts with simple connection. Call a friend, write a letter, volunteer once a month, join a class or community group. Even commenting on an online video and sharing your thoughts is a form of connection. And the more you feel seen, the more your nervous system settles. There's a man I admire named Carl. He's 85, lives alone. Every Friday he visits the same diner and sits at the counter. Not because he's hungry, but because he wants to see people. He chats with the server, says hello to the regulars. That connection, small as it may seem, is part of what keeps him sharp and light on his feet. You're not meant to age in isolation. Even small conversations, small interactions, remind your body that it's still part of something alive and meaningful. So here's what I hope you take from this part of our talk. Slowing or even reversing early signs of aging isn't about doing something huge. It's about returning to the basics. Supporting your sleep. Eating to nourish, not just to fill. Moving with purpose. Connecting with care. And maybe, above all, believing, truly believing, that it's not too late. You have more years ahead, and they can be good years, strong years, clear, steady, joyful years. You're not done. Let's keep going. Let's take a deep breath together. Right here. Right now. Inhale through your nose, and let it out slowly through your mouth. There's something calming about that, isn't there? That small pause, that moment of awareness. It reminds you you're here, still breathing, still capable of changing how you feel, one moment at a time. Now that we've talked about signs you may be aging faster than you should, and the habits that can begin to reverse that path, it's time to bring it all home. Because the key isn't just in the doing, it's in the believing that you can still improve, still thrive, still write the next chapter of your life with energy and intention. And one of the most important final tools for reversing premature aging is this: a renewed sense of curiosity. It may sound unexpected, but curiosity, genuine, childlike, wide-eyed curiosity, is a force that keeps the mind young, the heart open, and the spirit resilient. Think about it. When you stop learning, stop asking questions, stop exploring new things, your world gets smaller. Your thoughts turn inward. Your energy shrinks. But the moment you say, I wonder how this works, or I've never tried that, or what happens if I do this differently, your brain lights up. Your posture changes. You become engaged again. I knew a woman named Beverly who took up watercolor painting at 78. She'd never held a brush before in her life. Her first painting, she told me, looked like a soggy leaf in a puddle. But she kept going. Not because she wanted to become great, but because it gave her something to look forward to, something new to be curious about. After a few months, she said, I haven't felt this awake in years. That's what curiosity does. It wakes you up. So ask yourself, what have I always wanted to try? What skill, what hobby, what topic have I pushed aside because I thought it was too late? Because I promise you, it's not too late. You don't have to master it. You just have to try. Watch a documentary. Start a puzzle. Learn one word in a new language each day. Even just changing your walking route in the neighborhood can spark something different in your brain. And that difference? That's what fights early aging better than any cream or supplement ever could. Now let's talk about something that often gets overlooked when it comes to aging well. Emotional honesty. For many of us, we were raised to be strong, to carry on, to not burden others. And while that resilience has its place, sometimes it becomes a mask, one that hides stress, sadness, fear, or grief that hasn't been dealt with. And carrying that weight quietly over time, that's aging. Not just in the soul, but in the body too. Because stress that isn't expressed gets stored in our muscles, in our joints, in our blood pressure, in the way we breathe, sleep, and even digest. You don't need to spill your secrets to a room full of strangers. But being honest with yourself about how you're really feeling and letting some of that weight go is one of the most powerful forms of self-care you can practice. That might mean journaling, or talking to a therapist, or simply saying to a friend, you know, I've been struggling lately. There's no shame in that. In fact, there's strength in being real. The people who age the most gracefully aren't the ones who've had perfect lives. They're the ones who've stayed open, who've kept their hearts soft, their words honest, and their hope alive. And that leads me to one final piece of wisdom I want to leave you with. Your mindset is your greatest medicine. If you wake up every day expecting decline, expecting discomfort, expecting life to keep shrinking, your body will follow. Not because you're broken, but because belief shapes biology. But if you wake up and say, even softly, I'm still here, and today is still mine, your body hears that too. Your cells listen, your breath deepens, your brain lights up. It's not magic, it's science. And it's available to you every day. So let's take everything we've talked about. Recognizing the signs, improving your sleep, eating for energy, moving with intention, connecting, being curious, being emotionally honest, and let's bundle it into one truth. You are not powerless in the face of aging. You are a partner in how you age, and you have more control than you think. Start with one habit. Just one. Add one colorful food to your meal. Move for 10 minutes after lunch. Call someone just to say hello. Try something new, even if you're bad at it. Write down one thing you're grateful for tonight before bed. These aren't big gestures, but they add up. Day by day, month by month. Until one day, you look in the mirror, not to search for signs of age, but to see someone coming back to life. And that person is you. So if this message spoke to you today, I hope you'll take a moment to leave a comment. Tell me where you're tuning in from. Share something you've been working on, or even something you're afraid of. This space is for you, and your story matters here. If you found value in this, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing. This channel is more than advice. It's a reminder that aging doesn't mean fading. It means evolving, and we're doing it together. Remember, you are not behind. You are right on time. Here's to slowing down the clock, not just in years, but in how deeply you live each one. Here's to living with energy, with clarity, with joy, at any age.